Hi, English 1A students, Professor Graham here, and this video is intended to help you write your essay starting with the introduction paragraph all the way through. So first, before I begin, I'd like to just point you in the direction of the files section. So that's here, and in it you'll find several essays. So there's a student, these are student example essays of a cause and effect essay. There's the research essay, classification essay. There are some other things to look at, compare, contrast, etc. So I'm going to use one of these as an example during this discussion, but first, I'd like to help you set up your document in MLA format. So you start in a Word document, and first you'll write your name, and then my name, the class, and the date written out. So this will be June, actually I think it's 20 June, what is it? June 20th, 2022. You'll hit enter one time, tab, 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 tab. Title will be in the center. You hit the enter key one time, tab once, and then you start practice. Okay, so the other thing you need to do is actually insert a heading. So if you just double click up top, you'll find the header option. Go over here, enter your page number at the top of the page. You'll get a drop-down menu and choose the flush right, and then write your last name there. And that should automatically be at the top of every page after that. So then you just click outside of that. Another thing to do here is to select everything and go up here to the text box and change it to Times New Roman 12-point font. This is already in double space format, but in the event that it is not, so you go to paragraph, and you'll have a spacing option down here, line spacing. Oh good, I'm glad I checked. And you select double. And there you go. So you can use this every time that you write this, if you save it, right? So save format. Okay. Now this, as you guys probably know, is the introduction paragraph. Okay. So we have in the introduction paragraph, you have, as you know, you start with the hook. Then your introduction should introduce the subject, background, and that will be in 1 to 3 sentences. You know you're going to end with a thesis statement. Now notice statement, it's not a thesis sentence, it's a thesis statement. So that is also going to be 2 to, let's say, 4 sentences, depending on the length of your essay. In our class, all essays are between 6 and 8 paragraphs long, okay? So that's going to include an introduction, 4 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph, right? So we're just kind of doing a sentence count because I want to show you that every paragraph that you write should be roughly 8 to 12 sentences long, okay? So we're gonna just see how that works and what goes where. So once you get this formula down, class, this will work for all of your essays. It's kind of like a cookie recipe in that, you know, you might be making peanut butter cookies, you might be making chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal cookies. Really, they all have very similar ingredients, but what makes them different are the things that are added, right? So what I mean is most cookies have flour, sugar, butter, right? Baking soda, whatever, eggs. And then you add the oatmeal or you add the chips or you add the peanut butter. I'm sorry if I'm making you hungry, but hopefully this makes sense, right? So there's like a basic recipe, or in this case, a basic essay formula, and then your transitions are what make the essay a specific kind of essay, a certain format, such as cause and effect, or compare contrast, or summary and response, and or a research essay, right? So let's just kind of keep moving here, and you can use this. I'm going to upload this document in the file section after I finish this lecture. But I'd also, so I'd like for you to check this and use it whenever you need to. So we have a thesis statement that's 2 to 4 sentences. We're going to come back to that thesis statement in just a minute. And work here on the body paragraphs. So a body paragraph, we're just going to do one here during this lecture, but know that it applies to all 4 body paragraphs, right? So each body paragraph is going to contain the same thing. First, you have a topic sentence. Now that's one sentence, right? Then you write a sentence that defines or explains the topic. Now this might be 1, 2, 3 sentences. I'm just going to leave these numbers. Then you want to use a support example, quote, something that supports the definition, right? And it will probably begin with the transition, such as, for example, right? Your support can be any number of, so usually, you know, let's say between 1 and 4 sentences, right? For example, is a what we could call a connector or transitional phrase. Following that, you will then explain the example, right? So there's a different, let me think of what I usually say on that, but you'll show analysis of support, right? And this again could be anywhere between 1 and, oopsie, sorry everyone, 1 and 4 sentences, and it will begin with this quote shows, or these numbers suggest an upward turn in the stock market, right? Or something like that. See what I'm saying? So you're explaining why that example, you're explaining your example. So you're showing analysis. And then after that, you have a conclusion sentence that kind of, and this is usually just one sentence that sort of ties up what you just said, right? So it could actually be, so this ties up the thought in the topic, you know, in the paragraph, right? So if you count these up, in the body paragraph, you have 1 up to 4, up to 8, right? Up to 12, 13 sentences. Now, obviously, these will vary in length, but let's say you hit 2, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8 sentences. And so this body paragraph, so the topic sentence will be a part of your thesis statement. So your thesis statement will contain the main subject and topics listed in order they will be discussed. Now, what that means is, like, for example, if you're going to be talking about a car, you're gonna look to buy a car. So your subject is, you know, buying a car, right? So then you're explaining in this imaginary essay, you know, what parts of buying a car you're going to discuss, right? Or so that those will be your topics. So let's say you're buying a car based on price, size, and gas mileage, right? Or color, you know, size, and brand, you know, whatever that is. So your thesis statement will be a bit longer because it's really explaining in detail your subject, what topics you're going to be discussing about that subject, and also what your main argument is. So what when we say argument in scholarly, okay, so in scholarly language, that really just means you have to take a position or a have an opinion on something. And that's why each essay is regarded as an argument essay. That doesn't mean we're debating. It means you're explaining your ideas using support. This is not just, you know, let's just say you're talking about the color red, right? So the color red, I like the color red, isn't an argument, right? That's not an argument, that's an opinion. What makes something an argument is that you discuss it in scholarly language and break it down into topics. Like, the color red is more than just flashy. It can serve as a warning in traffic. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. In ceremonies, it denotes high rank, and has been important throughout the history of time back to Roman days. You know, I don't know, something like that. I'm just kind of making this up off the top of my head, but you understand. So it's an argument. It's not just saying I like the color red. It's saying the color red has many different kinds of connotations and meanings across time, you know, something like that, right? See how it becomes an argument, or it becomes important even. So okay, so there's your body paragraph. So every topic sentence is going to have a transition word, usually, such as or phrase that denotes order. And of course you're ordering your essay from least to most important. So or it could be rather than order, it could also be like in a compare contrast essay, you know, it could just denote your argument. So contrast, it could just be the first difference, right, between these two characters, or it could be the first step or something like that. It just depends on what your argument is. And again, we'll look at some student examples to show exactly what I'm talking about here, but you'll have that, the specific topic, and what your argument about it is, right? So always make sure that your topic and argument are tied directly to your thesis statement. You should be able to look at every topic sentence kind of like a skeleton, you know, and see if it is, you know, directly related to your thesis statement using the same language and everything else. So your conclusion paragraph, class, is oftentimes the hardest one to write for students, because you feel like, well, I've already written everything, I've said everything I want to say, I'm just done. No, I don't know why I have to repeat anything, right? So my cheat sheet way of showing you guys how to write a conclusion paragraph that's still 8 to 10 sentence, or excuse me, 6 to 8 or 8 to 12 sentences long, apologies. Because all paragraphs should be consistent in length. So what you do, class, with your conclusion paragraph is you pull out you have 4 topic sentences, and you have a thesis statement, and that is hopefully between, you know, it's roughly 4 sentences long, could be up 2 to 4, right? 2 to 4 sentences long. And then your hook was at least 1 sentence, right? So as you all probably know, a hook is what grabs the reader's attention. So you want it to be shocking, interesting, funny, something like that, something that really grabs the attention. Nothing too bland, like, oh, everybody needs a garden hose, right? That's not who your audience is. Never everyone, right? So, you know, a good gardener knows that you know, a garden hose that is consistent and, you know, has multiple sprayers is important in keeping the garden green, you know, something like that, right? So let's just say that. Or let's say you're writing about fishing and you're like, your hook is like, my grandpa always taught me that, you know, the early bird gets the worm, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then your last sentence can harken back to the hook sentence. So you might end on a note that's like, we can't all fish as well as my uncle did, but we can all get up early and, catch our own worm. You know what I'm saying? The thesis statement you can rewrite. So the conclusion paragraph really is a repeat paragraph where you reiterate what you have already said. So you're pulling up the main points, revisioned, right? You're just revisioning what you've already said. So pull out your 4-topic sentence, pull out your thesis statement and your hook and rewrite them. Tell the reader what you just said. And bookend your last sentence with your first sentence. Now, I put these are not necessarily in order, class, these 4-topic sentences and thesis statement thing. This is up to you. What sounds stronger? It's up to you. So let's just take a look here. Let me save this real quick. And let's go into the files section now of the class and just look together at a student example research essay to see. Let's just kind of go from the top, right? So here you see the proper format. I knew it. Okay, so the proper way to, I'm going to fix this right now, class. The proper way to format your date is European style, like that. I don't know why, but it is what it is. It's MLA format, okay? So, all right, so here we go. As you can see, this is an older essay. Now the title clearly reflects the subject of this essay and the argument. So here I can tell right here, this is a cause and effect. This student is going to focus on the effects of cloning, animal cloning, which is the cause. So we have a cause and effect essay. It's a research essay. So let's just take a look at this nice big healthy paragraph here. So we have our hook. Science is a huge systematic enterprise with a variety of areas to study. Not very jazzy, but it does start the conversation. And then we have, in this case, the definition of cloning, right? So just like I said, you have your subject, you give a background of your subject. This is explaining what the start of cloning, when it started, the first time it was done, right? This was in the 90s. First time an animal was cloned. So they give the background in a couple sentences. Then it's moving us forward closer to more current circumstances. So in, as a result of this, what's happening? And then here we hit our thesis statement. Animal cloning can affect society in positive ways, like bringing back extinct animals. So there's our topic. Enabling controlled animal testing, topic number 2, and creating the fastest and most effective way to produce meat and dairy products. By the way, I'm a vegetarian, everyone, so I do not support all of this, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But notice the topics are all in order. Animal cloning can affect society in positive ways is the argument that the student is making, using these topics to explain everything, right? So that's a nice, good background. We have our background, we have our very healthy thesis statement that's approximately 2 sentences long, which is pretty good. I mean, considering how much they put into those 2 or 3 sentences. And there's a clear hook, although it's not the most effective hook, right? But that's okay. So then this student kind of tells us This is a little bit special for the research essay. Normally, you wouldn't see a question in a student essay, okay? But it's okay, the student's using it. So this is their topic, their definition, their example, right? They're missing okay, the quotes. The thing that they're doing here, you should never just end on a quote, folks. So that is missing a little bit the rest of the paragraph, but because this is a research essay, there's more examples than normal, I think. But anyway, you can see here another positive effect animal cloning is, so we're back to the topic sentence, cloning, controlled animal testing. So we have definition, for the example, and again, the student is leaving off the analysis, unfortunately, but you can see what I'm talking about here, that there's a pattern that this student has established in their essay. Let's look at another essay. I wanted to see if so here's an MLA, just while we're here, class, there's MLA overview, MLA template, paragraph structure, and more research essays. Let's look at this process essay. And then I'm going to ask you to look at these other things on your own, right? Your first essay will be a summary and response essay. So I've included 2 different examples here. Actually, it looks like 3, maybe. I'm not sure, 2 or 3. But let's just look at this process essay together before I end this. So again, you're seeing the format. We have, oh, I like this example because frankly, it is not perfect. I mean, there are some issues, but there are some strengths as well. So always remember, class, that the student examples are not necessarily perfect. So you never want to just copy something, you want to show what you know, show what you've learned. And if you see something that looks amiss in a student example, it probably is wrong. There are no perfect student examples, right? So, okay, so we have our MLA format. This is a process essay, so it's a how-to essay, and this student chose to write about how to make jalapeno poppers. Notice their hook is it suits the tone of the essay, which is, it's just, well, you'll see it's a little bit fun and caution. The smell of these spicy bacon wrap delights has proven to cause sudden hunger and in serious cases, even overeating. If faced with one of these symptoms, proceed to leave the kitchen immediately, right? So he starts out strong. Unfortunately, he forgot to kind of define what he's talking about here. There's like a whole middle section that's missing in this paragraph, the definition of what he's talking about. Actually, he never actually says, besides it. So if we didn't read the title, we wouldn't know what this essay is about, because here's the thesis statement. I personally have perfected this snack over the years and found it makes a clutch addition to any gathering. The steps for creating such a deliciously dangerous treat are actually quite simple. And so notice the topics, the steps are missing from the thesis statement. So the definition is missing. He did include his statement of authority. So you want to do that if you're writing an instructional essay. I don't know that you guys are, so that's not necessary, but But I want you to see, like, if something's missing, it's pretty clear once you know what a good paragraph looks like. Notice it's only 2, 3 sentences long, and we know it should be 8 to 12, right? So, but the tone is good, you know, this is not a passing paper, but it is, you know, again, it's showing you strengths and weaknesses. So notice how thin these paragraphs are. They're shorter, they're getting a little bit longer. It's like he warmed up a little bit. But see how you can tell the difference between a healthy paragraph and a not so healthy paragraph. So the first step, so there we have our topic sentence. The first step that needs to be done before any work in the kitchen is shopping for ingredients. So here we have our topic, or our topic sentence, but it also it has our transitional phrase, right? So the first step, the next step, if we just go down here and look at the order, we have the next step. The following step, the fourth step, right? So every topic sentence in this essay includes a step for how to prepare this dish in order, and explains exactly what it is they're doing in that step. So there are elements throughout that are pretty good in this, but there are missing parts too, right? So use this as an example to kind of show yourself what is missing, right? But the tone in that is good, and so on. So class, if you would please use this, feel free to, actually, I'm going to do this while we're talking. Let's see. Format, it's not coming up. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Sorry, guys. But you can use the format to start your own essays when the time comes. We do have an assignment coming up. I do hope that you've read the written lectures, and hopefully this video will help you as you start to think about writing essays. But again, there are plenty of student examples. There's a paragraph structure. Probably, let's see what it is. Oh, it's like a slideshow type thing. Anyway, so hopefully that helps you guys, and looking at the student examples to get a visual of what I'm talking about will also be really helpful. And you have 2 student examples. Before you begin writing your own, I do suggest taking a peek at what's here. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, thanks everybody.